Well, the Tyne-Wear Derby returns to the Premier League after nearly 10 years, and we're off and running at the Stadium of Light. It is Sunderland taking on their fiercest rivals, Newcastle United, at the Stadium of Light. Well, both teams heading into this contest, just a point separating the two, but having contrasting forms throughout this campaign so far, which means that this game has an extra bit of spice added to it, that's for sure. With both teams looking for 3 points, yes, Newcastle have not won on this ground for nearly 15 years in the Premier League. What a time to set that record straight and pick up a win. Massive 3 points on offer in the Premier League so far. It's 10th versus 12th as Newcastle have a free kick in the early stages here. Will be their captain Bruno Guimaraes who will float this ball into the box, the top scorer. Decent ball in, it's cleared away by Renildo, but there's a foul in the build-up and it's a free kick for Sunderland. Nick Woltemade is getting in the way there, the big German. 5 league goals for Nick Woltemade. Perfect start for him in terms of making the impact in the new league, replacing Alexander Isak for big money from Stuttgart. As for Sunderland, they started off their campaign very well, but 2 wins in the last 7 games means that Legis Rabry's team will have to slightly recalibrate now to tackle the second half of the Premier League campaign here. Brian Brobby picked ahead of Wilson Isidore. He's up against Malik Thiaw. What an atmosphere it is here at the Stadium of Light. Fans have been waiting for this game for the entire campaign here. Stalby finds Renildo. Sunderland looking for a fast start here. Probably just peeling on that left-hand side. Enzo Lefebvre, Brian Brobby and Bertrand Traore all in the attacking positions here. As for Newcastle United, they've got Nick Woltemade as their centre forward, with Anthony Elanga on the right and Anthony Gordon on the left, with the midfield three of Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes and Lewis Miley. No place for Joe Linton in the side. Here's Omar Alderate. Paraguayan centre half finds Stalby, the Moroccan. Scored that dramatic late winner at Stamford Bridge to give Sunderland all 3 points against Chelsea. Their marquee win so far this campaign. They've taken points off Liverpool and Arsenal, so they are pretty much a giant killer by the looks of it. As Daniel Ballard floats that towards Noni Mukiele. Last touch comes off the Frenchman. Anthony Elanga, after completing his £50 million move from Nottingham Forest in the summer, hasn't really settled to life up north. Does have a lot of competition in Harvey Barnes, Johan Wissa and Jacob Murphy, of course. A win for Newcastle will take them ahead of Manchester United in 7th, and as for Sunderland, a win will take them into the top 5, with Crystal Palace taking on Manchester City at the same time. I'll have a close eye on proceedings of what's happening in that big game, because what is that, 5 or 6 points just separating the two? And Manchester City don't really travel well to London when they play Crystal Palace. West Ham has an early goal here, 3 minutes on the clock against Aston Villa. Villa started the campaign of this weekend in second position, just 3 points behind Arsenal. Arsenal winning very late against Wolverhampton Wanderers, needing a stoppage time own goal to get them all 3 points at home against the bottom side. Woods a loose pass there. Nick Woltemade nearly makes Sunderland pay there. Omar Alderate's ball, not having enough juice on it. Nick Woltemade was a bit interested in it. Change in keeper here for Eddie Howe. Aaron Ramsdale replacing Nick Pope between the sticks. Here's Gordon. Good pass between the lines. Very good defending there by Alderate. Here's Talby. Finds Brobby. Again, it's been Anthony Gordon who's been nipping in here. Did pick up that red card against Liverpool early on. Here's Granit Xhaka, who's been one of the signings of the summer. Really has elevated the levels of Sunderland. Has not just kept them in the relegation fights, but soaring them up the league. Here's Alderate. Finds Dan Ballard. Here's Alderate again to Xhaka. Newcastle just sitting off here in the early stages. Renildo. It's very patient here from Newcastle United in terms of keeping their defensive shape. Here's Daniel Ballard. Scored that cracking goal against Arsenal at the Stadium of Light here. On the right hand side, here's Bertrand Traore. Nice bit of trickery. Cross comes into the box. Cleared away by Tonali. Lewis Miley is there. And Newcastle play out the back very nicely. Here's Anthony Gordon, who's given the ball away. Enzo Laffi biting at the heels. Noah Sadiki and Granit Xhaka in midfield for Sunderland. Traore, Laffi, cleared away by Tonali, but Sunderland sustained the pressure here. Newcastle can't get out. Xhaka. Renildo on the outside. Thought about the cross. On his right foot this time. Cleared away. Very good start here by Sunderland at home. They're putting the pressure on Newcastle United. Knowing that an early goal with the home crowd at their full support could be a fantastic game for Sunderland to take all 3 points. Here's Xhaka. Finds Alderate. To Ballard. You've seen Sunderland play with a back five with Nodi Mukiele as one of the centre halves. This time he's playing his more comfortable position in right back. Dan Burn fighting with Brian Brobby there. Last touch comes off the Big England centre half. Sunderland continue to pin Newcastle back here. Just the kind of strategy needed here from Regis Labre's team. Put Newcastle under pressure. Get that first goal. Get the crowd up. Then you can have the game more your way here as Granit Xhaka gets ready to take the game's first corner. Well, Sunderland now without Wilson Isidore, their top scorer. But he is available on the bench. Brian Brobby getting a reward for his late goals cameos. Xhaka delivers. Good whip on it. Cleared away by Sandro Tonali again. Put back into a dangerous area. Dan Burn looking to take advantage of the situation here. Just about managed to clear that away. Nick Woltemade with the last touch. Clever flick on there from Brian Brobby. Beautifully done. But Lewis Hall quickly there on side. Finds his England teammate in Anthony Gordon. Good switch on to the right hand side to Valentino Livramento. Anthony Elanga, a lot of pace down the right hand side for Newcastle United. Elanga, Woltemade, lovely touch. Robin Roves is there quickly on side. Falls on the ball. Again, that pace on the right hand side for Newcastle United is going to be a real challenge for Sunderland. Livramento and Elanga, both rapid players. Here's the Paraguayan centre-half, Omar Alderate. He's taken a lot of time on the ball. It's a scramble. Woltemade nearly gets there first. Robin Roves just sweeps up. A couple of nervy moments from both teams in the early stages. Here's Xhaka. See Nodi Mukiele playing high and wide on that right-hand side. The two fullbacks are trying to stretch the pitch as much as possible. You can see Renildo on the left-hand side too. Lovely play here from Talbi. Renildo, beautiful touch from the Brazilian. Clever pass to Talbi on the left-hand side. Oh, the cross is overhit. It was on his left foot, but smooth move there from Sunderland. Again, it's coming from the fullbacks here. They are so high and wide. They're stretching the pitch as wide as possible. Renildo does very well to link up with his left winger, Talbi. To the 10th minute, Newcastle United haven't been able to get out of their own half so far. It's been all Sunderland in the early stages. Decent touch down the right hand side. Here's Sadiki, finds Xhaka. Mukiele does have the long throw threat Sunderland will often use when they do have a bit of pressure to relieve. Alderate. Xhaka. Alderate again. Very patient this from Sunderland. Picked off here by Anthony Elanga, and now Newcastle United on the counter-attack here. Walter Mada, oh, he went for the clever pass. Anthony Gordon was just waiting for the ball to be fizzed across. But Walter Mada went for Anthony Elanga instead. Saw Walter Mada did pick his head up and saw the run of Gordon. Has to attempt the pass at least. If he doesn't get it right, fair enough, but that is the right play to do, because Gordon on that left-hand side just busting his gut to get into the box. Minutes on the clock. Here's Siddiqui, finds Renildo. No Siddiqui, Granit Xhaka, Renildo. Good patterns here from Sunderland. Ball into the channel. There are two people chasing for it. Enzo Lafie and Brian Brobby gets there, but it's and Ramsdale quickly off his line. Enzo Lafie and Brian Brobby both going after the same ball here, but it's Sunderland who are doing most of the dictating in the early stages, but it's Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side, gets away from Nodi Mukiele. Good strong play there from the Frenchman. Wasn't going to lose out on that duel. Here's Mukiele. Strange pass, asking a lot out of Enzo Lafie. Here's Gordon again. Seems to be Newcastle's tactic. Give the ball to their number 10 as much as possible. Here's Lewis Miley, preferred ahead of Joe Linton in midfield, trying to add a different dimension. I think Newcastle would have felt that their midfield three of Tonali, Guimaraes and Joe Linton needs a bit more dynamism or change. Here's Elanga on the right hand side. Goes on the outside. Oh, it's a very heavy touch. Out for a goal kick. Anthony Gordon and Nick Walter Mada still having words amongst each other here. This is where Walter Mada has to feed the ball forward. Gordon was not happy whatsoever. Just has to take the gamble. Aston Villa are level. Konstantinos Mavropanos scoring an own goal for West Ham, which means Aston Villa are level at the London Stadium. Still no goals at Selhurst Pass. Manchester City looking to open up the Crystal Palace defence. Crystal Palace and Manchester City both had midweek victories in their respective European campaigns. Of course, Manchester City going to the Bernabeu and winning 2-1. Fantastic result for Pep Guardiola's men. Well, Sunderland are bossing the ball here in the early stages. Newcastle United just trying to keep that clean sheet for as long as possible in the first half. Xhaka plays it short. Here's Bertrand Traore. Outside of the boot pass. Decent. Oh, it's Malik Thiaw, who just had to readjust his feet and concedes the corner. The Trivela pass there by Bertrand Traore, just catching the Newcastle United defence off guard. Lovely pass. German Malik Thiaw quickly adjusts his feet and takes the safe route of conceding the corner instead. Enzo Lafie will deliver this one. Omar Alderate, Daniel Ballard, Nodi Mukiele and Bertrand Traore, all options. Decent flick on header. Good defending there by Newcastle. I think there's a foul spotted. It will be a free kick for Newcastle United, just relieving the pressure. Well, as it stands, Manchester City, despite not scoring at Selhurst Park, will be in second position, but they can't afford to drop points if they have to stay within touching distance of league leaders Arsenal. Arsenal before City kicked off were 5 points ahead. Pep Guardiola's men will be looking to keep them at arm's length here. Siddiqui clears. Decent touch. Ooh, Sandro Tonali biting away in the challenges. Nice play there from Tonali. Holding off the challenge of Traore. That surely is a foul there by the Burkina Faso international. Led Sandro Tonali off the hook. Eddie Howe has seen his team have a certain resurgence about them. They do play Chelsea next at St. James's Park. If history has anything to suggest, that is a historic loss for Chelsea at St. James's Park. Every time we travel up north for that fixture, rarely goes well. But you never know, it's a more resilient Chelsea to finally breaking their 4-game winless drought. Again, it's Anthony Elanga on the right-hand side. His clip pass, not very effective. Here's Daniel Ballard, formerly of the Arsenal Academy. He was let go. Had to wait a long time before he found his home in the Premier League. And he's found a Premier League club in Sunderland who have not just put the faith in him, but made him a central piece in their defence. Here's Noah Sadiki. Ballard. Newcastle back in their 4-5-1 shape off the ball. There's Alderate. Goes long for Brobby. Dan Burn wins that well. Again, looking for a quick counter-attack here. Anthony Elanga has to do better with the chances presented to him. Here's Alderate. Shows composure there, the centre-half. Talbi finds Xhaka. Onto the right-hand side. Here's Xhaka again. Good switch out. Beautiful pass there from the Swiss international. Here's Talbi. Clever pass to Enzo Laffi. Thought about the cross. Decides to keep the ball, but Livramento gets the interception. It's a throw-in for Sunderland, and they continue to put the pressure on Newcastle United here. Newcastle United have been forced to play on the counter-attack because Sunderland have been pretty much dominating possession. Newcastle haven't won at this ground in the Premier League for nearly 15 years. 2011 was the last time where I think it was Ryan Taylor who scored the goal at this hostile ground for Newcastle. A lot has happened since for both teams. Throw-in comes in. It's not cleared away. Alderate flashes that. I think that hits the crossbar. Tremendous effort there from the centre half. On the swivel. Doesn't have any time to think about this one. Just has a pop. I think it doesn't hit the framework here. It's on the swivel. Difficult technique. Yep, doesn't hit the crossbar. Just goes out of play for a throw-in. Guimaraes. Lewis Hall does well. It's a risky pass, but turns out brilliantly. It's fullback to fullback. Livramento. Heavy touch as Renildo nips in. Here's Talbi. Alderate. Xhaka. And Newcastle being forced to backpedal here. It's Sunderland who are setting the tempo. Ballard. Xhaka. Here's Omar Alderate. Newcastle back in their 4-5-1 shape here. Xhaka. Beautiful pass. Clever chest down there by Renildo. Here's Talbi. Couple of touches there from the Moroccan. Clever pass to Enzo Laffi. Good combination player from Sunderland. And forcing Newcastle to move from side to side. Barely getting touches in the opposition half. Here's Ballard. Mukiele. Brilliant control there from Brian Brobby. Traore. Xhaka into the 20th minute. Xhaka switches the play onto the left-hand side for Renildo. Heavy touch, but Renildo will get there. Good pressure applied here by Sunderland. Sadiki. Xhaka. Outside of the boot, pass to Daniel Ballard. Again, very good possession here from Sunderland. Fully capable of keeping the ball. Mukiele. Sunderland finally forces a few tackles here from Newcastle. They haven't gotten close enough to the Sunderland players, who are knocking it with a lot of confidence. Lovely pass between the lines. Sadiki finds Talbi. Brilliant bit of skill. Elanga helps out defensively. Guimaraes. Livramento. Tonali, Elanga, Tonali again, Guimaraes, great football this from Newcastle. There's no foul there on Nick Voldemada. Guimaraes felt that he was fouled too. 20 minutes on the clock. 0-0 the scoreline here at the Stadium of Light. No goals in the 7:30 p.m. kickoff here so far, except the Everton-Aston Villa game. Spurs are 0-0 against Nottingham Forest. Good sliding challenge there from Daniel Ballard. Superb from the centre half. Here's Talbi, finds Noah Sadiki. Sadiki looks for the channel pass. Should be comfortably defended, and it is by Lewis Hall. Well, Newcastle with both Cobham graduates as their fullbacks, Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall. Livramento, of course, did not represent Chelsea in the senior level. Got sold to Southampton, who subsequently made a lot of money off the sale of Lewis Hall, of Livramento rather. And Lewis Hall moved in the summer a couple of years back with Lewis Hall in the box here. Decent cross. Hall did play under Graham Potter when Chelsea did employ the English manager for about 6 months. We all know how that turned out to be. Here's Xhaka, Ballard, Sunderland looking for a bit more impetus in their attack. Bertrand Traore on the right hand side. There is a bit of Chelsea connection there for Sunderland as well. Xhaka, decent ball in, cleared away. Tonali, oh, he misses out completely, shot blocked. They keep it alive. Miley just hammers that away. Newcastle United cannot get out here. Guimaraes, oh, that's a foul there by Granit Xhaka. That's a battle that we expect to see for the entire match. Bruno Guimaraes and Granit Xhaka both similar in terms of their play style and personality. Tough tackling, no nonsense midfielders. Lafitte just suffering a bit of a clatter there, but he's okay to continue. Malik Thiaw finds Dan Burn. Ooh, heavy touch. Lewis Hall has to be careful there because Bertrand Traore was on him like a rash. Thiaw, Livramento, Guimaraes. Guimaraes is playing on the right, Lewis Miley on the left, with Sandro Tonali holding the midfield together. Lewis Hall being put under pressure, so is Dan Burn. Aaron Ramsdale just decides to boot that forward. Lovely touch there by Voltemada, but can't flick that on to Anthony Elanga. Hasn't had the start of games that he was hoping for nearly halfway through the first half. Yohan Wissa is on the bench, £50 million signing from Brentford in the summer. A lot of people thought that Brentford would be one of the candidates for relegation, having lost their manager Thomas Frank to Spurs, Mbeumo to Manchester United, Yohan Wissa to Newcastle United. That Wissa and Mbeumo combination was a real nightmare last season. Very good pass here for Livramento. Good defending by Renildo. It's Alderete rather on the slide. Corner for Newcastle. I think this is their first corner of the match. Into the 25th minute. Again, very good pass between the lines. Sunderland just falling asleep there. Paraguayan quickly on the slide to prevent Livramento with a successful cross in. Well, Lewis Hall will go with the left-footed in-swinger here. Trying to get this into a decent area. Hall delivers. Robin Roves just about punches that away. Sandro Tonali is strong and he keeps hold of the ball. Went for the cross, but it's a favourable ricochet. Guimaraes Calmly done there by Newcastle. Nice play there from Anthony Elanga. Livramento, cross comes in, headed away by Ballard. Kept a close eye on Nick Woltemade. Oh, that's a heavy foul there by Brian Brobby. He loses out. It's Nick Woltemade. Oh, Daniel Ballard goes in with force. Seems to have gotten enough of the ball for the referee's liking. Did take a chunk out of the German, Nick Woltemade. We expect the challenges and tackles to come in flying in this derby. Woltemade might still be on the ground here, but play continues. Here's Malik Thiaw. One of the many summer signings that Newcastle made with that Isak money. Tonali, Thiaw, Anthony Elanga. See Livramento playing in the half spaces on the right hand side. He will have the license, of course, to provide the overlap because of his running power and ability to pick players out in the box. Here's Anthony Gordon. Cleared away. Xhaka, clever pass, very good pass to Brobby. Malik Thiaw with a clear foul on the centre forward. Brobby wants a yellow card. Malik Thiaw was touch tied to the Dutchman. Of course, two late goals, one against Arsenal and one against Liverpool. Both were draws, but crucial points for Sunderland. It's a yellow card. I think it is to Brian Brobby, who made the gesture to the referee that a yellow card should have been brandished to Malik Thiaw. It's a foul, but nothing cynical from the German. I don't think Malik Thiaw would have picked up a yellow card for it. It is Brian Brobby's reaction that might have gotten him booked. Sunderland, of course, yep, it's the number 9 with the yellow card. Needless, considering it's a petulant response. Sunderland do have Wilson Isidore on the bench. Top scorer for Sunderland. Surprised to be on the bench in a game of this magnitude. Robin Rose sees his long punt forward. Well defended. Xhaka. Just the 1 point separating the two teams before kickoff. Sunderland very much on the upward trajectories. Newcastle rather on the upward trajectory, and Sunderland a bit of a wobble here. 2 wins in 7 for Regis Labree's team. Well, Eddie Howe will be the one who will be the most pleased in terms of the result. Not necessarily the performance, because Sunderland have been the better side. But Aaron Ramsdale has not had saves to make. That might change in the next 17 plus stoppage time in the first half. Throw in for Sunderland, which Mukiele will fling. It's a flat delivery. It's not cleared away. Mukiele has another opportunity, this time with his right foot. Decides to play it short to Bertrand Traore, looking to combine. Xhaka thought about the shot. Xhaka went for the drive, well over the crossbar. The first hit in anger there from Sunderland. And it comes from Granit Xhaka. Sat up nicely for him. One touch to get it out of his feet, and on his favoured left foot, he'll always fancy himself with the pop. You can see there Malik Thiaw and Daniel Ballard both getting into a bit of a muddle there. Ballard felt that he might have been fouled there by Malik Thiaw. Into the 30th minute, 0-0 the scoreline. Well, Nottingham Forest and West Ham have scored here, so Tottenham Hotspur looking for a crucial win away from home, find themselves 1-0 down to a Callum Hudson-Odoi goal. And as for West Ham, it's their trusted soldier in Jared Bowen giving them the lead once again in the match. Can Nuno's side hold on this time? Tackles are starting to fly in here. Sandro Tonali not happy with that decision. Been a tiring week, long week. Not the kind of blockbuster games that you expect in the Premier League. Of course, there's couple more actually in the Premier League after this one. I think Burnley's playing Leeds and then Manchester United playing Bournemouth at home. That's a Monday night kickoff. Yes, Talbi, lovely nutmeg to get away from Thiaw. Bruno Guimaraes helps out his centre half. And shows great composure there, the Brazilian. Beautifully done. Elanga. Thought about the drive forward. It's a terrible pass. Brian Brobby keeps the ball under duress. Bertrand Traore now finds Nodi Mukiele. Xhaka. Alderete finds Talbi on the left hand side. Thought about the cross. Renildo. Oh, the cross comes in, takes a deflection, but I don't think that did take a deflection. It's a poor cross there from the Brazilian. Not for a goal kick for Newcastle, and Regis Lebris will be pleased with the way his team have played, but will be upset with the fact that they have not been able to capitalize with the territory and the possession. Eddie Howe's side have stayed level peggings because of their physicality and the way that they're matching Sunderland, but their quality on the ball has been lacking. Nick Woltemade has had very little service. Anthony Gordon has looked like their most potent attacker. Guimaraes finds Lewis Miley. Nodi Mukiele goes flying in there, showcasing his versatility. The Frenchman can play in a back five, in a back four, no problems for Nodi Mukiele. Formerly of Leipzig and PSG. Some of the recruitment from Sunderland has been first class. I mean, getting the likes of Enzo Laffi, Granit Xhaka, Brian Brobby, Wilson Isidore. Some very shrewd signings. Has made sure that Sunderland's journey in the Premier League might just carry on for another season, because we've seen promoted sides who go straight back down. Leeds and Burnley might suffer that fate, but Sunderland look fine in the early stages here. Thiaw. Poor pass. Games lack quality. Manchester City are killing Crystal Palace with possession and shots. But it's Crystal Palace who had the better opportunities, but City with nearly 80% of the ball. It's absolutely crazy, especially at Selhurst Park. Langa has had no joy against Renildo in the first half. Sandro Tonali. Finds Dan Burn. What's up, Kashish? अरे मैं सोचा कि शायद से क्रिस्टल पैलेस सिटी करूं, बट लगता था बोर हो जाएगा हल्का. उधर भी nil scenes everywhere. City 75% of the ball. Need a Palace win. Palace win means Arsenal will have a 5-point gap at the top. Would be the perfect weekend for them. Arsenal had to do it in dramatic circumstances and a lot of help with 2 own goals in the second half to give them all 3 points. That was a full-blooded challenge there between Nodi Mukiele and Dan Burn. Second yellow card for Sunderland. First one going to Brian Brobby. This one to Nodi Mukiele. हल्का अपडेट्स दे अगर क्रिस्टल पैलेस गोल मारा तो एक ही मैच देख सकता है. इधर भी हल्का बोर ही चल रहा है. सनडरलैंड न्यूकास्टल 0-0. First Tyne-Wear derby since 2016. Nearly 10 years as the two rivals finally meet in the Premier League. Sunderland, in the head-to-head record in the last 10 or 15 years, have definitely had a couple of 3-0 victories, especially during crunch relegation times. Showing that Sunderland have had a lot more joy against Newcastle. Here's Jermaine Defoe, who scored in the last Steinway derby in that magnificent left-footed volley. It's an iconic goal. Came to Sunderland to try and keep them up in that 2016 season. Gave them a lot of goals, but eventually failed. Trying to keep that task down. Sunderland going down and taking nearly 10 years to come back into the Premier League. And this time they're going to try and make sure that they make their stay count. Well, Dan Burn is still on the deck here. Maybe, just maybe, Eddie Howe might have to make a substitution. He has Fabian Schär on the bench. And he is warming up, the Swiss centre-back. Might play against his countrymen in Granit Xhaka. Would take a lot to keep Dan Burn out of the grass, but seems to be winded with that challenge. Both players going in a full-blooded manner there. Mukiele was not going to back down. And he really did crunch into Dan Burn. That's a painful one. Ooh, that is so painful. I mean, it's both knees into the ribcage there on Dan Burn. I'm surprised nothing is cracked for Dan Burn. There's a reason why he's so winded. It looked like maybe both their legs had clashed into each other, but Nodi Mukiele sliding knees into the ribcage of Dan Burn. Man, footballers are really built differently, because that could have been cracked ribs for anybody else. Yellow card there for Nodi Mukiele. And Dan Burn, with bruised ribs, is getting back on the pitch. Fair play to him. Knows that there's about 8 minutes plus added on time, and then 15 minutes between the halves to try and get ready for the second half. But there's a lot of football still to be played. Renildo has had the better of Anthony Elanga in the first half. Livramento going with a throw-in. Okay, Newcastle have had very little possession or territory in the Sunderland half. Goal for them would really be a sucker punch heading into half-time. That is such a poor foul to give by Renildo. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes has got his back to goal. He's going nowhere. He's just trying to shield the ball. Renildo goes through the back of him. That is so poor. And if Newcastle score from this one, this is Renildo's fault. We never like to individualize errors and mistakes for goals, but that is the most needless of free kicks to concede. Free kick for Newcastle United. Have struggled to piece things together in this match so far. Guimaraes delivers. Decent ball into the box. Headed away. Well, this is Nodi Mukiele. Makes amends with that good headed away out for a throw-in. Newcastle finally looking to end this first half with a bit of positivity. Hasn't gone their way so far, but a goal before half-time would be the much-needed tonic that Eddie Howe's men are looking for. Dan Burn, Malik Thiaw, Nick Voltemara, all obvious targets as a throw-in comes into the box. Hall delivers again. Decent whip. Cleared away by Alderete. Brian Brobby holds it up nicely here. Now Sunderland on the counter-attack. Here's Brobby. Lewis Smiley does brilliantly on the slide. Gets the challenge spot on. Tonali. Good composure shown there by Miley again. But Sunderland have the ball back. Sadiki with a tough tackle in the midfield area. Sunderland now on the attack. Here's Traore. Works it well. Cross comes in. Defended well by Lewis Hall. Well, Dan Burn clearly has damaged ribs and he's still playing. Oh, City score. Haaland scores. I'm not surprised, Kashish. what is that, 16 Premier League goals for Erling Haaland this season. 16 games into the campaign. He is head and shoulders the best striker, not just in the league but in the world right now, and doesn't look like Dan Burn will be able to continue. Definitely cracked ribs after that challenge by Nori Mukiele. Change will be made as Fabian Schär will be coming on in the last 5 minutes of the first half. Well, Erling Haaland scoring means that Manchester City are once again just 2 points behind league leaders Arsenal. Arsenal cannot afford to drop points at any point of the season because City will be chasing them down, hunting them down with every match and every result. They've been there before. They won the big prizes. Haaland is a one-man wrecking crew for Manchester City. Crazy record, man. Every campaign he just seems to be finding another level to his game. First season that he comes in, wins the treble, smashes all the records in the league. And maybe had a down year last season, but even Haaland's down year is 20 plus goals, man. Now he's well on course to breach that 30 goal mark again in the campaign. Here's Xhaka. Picks his head up. Cross comes in. Ramsdale's there. Both Ramsdale and Xhaka both played for Arsenal at the same time, didn't they, in the 2022-23 campaign? Or was that 23-24 campaign? Either way, they were part of the squad that really made the push for the league title but lost it in the last 7 games to Manchester City. Brian Brobby is still on the ground here, but play continues. Newcastle have every right because the referee hasn't blown his whistle. It's Anthony Elanga. Very good defending by Renildo. Brian Brobby has not made the impact that he was hoping for as the centre forward. With Wilson Isidore on the bench, it's more than a handy replacement because that is Sunderland's top scorer. If you have someone like Isidore coming off the bench against tired legs, and a new centre-half pairing in Malik Thiaw and Fabian Schär, Isidore might be chomping at the bit. Livramento. Decent ball into the box. Tries to find Voltemada. Very composed header back to Robin Rose, the goalkeeper. Sunderland looking to fashion one more opportunity. 2 minutes plus stoppage time remain in the first half in this Beartine derby. No shots on target in the match so far. Newcastle having no attempts, period. Nearly 45 minutes of football. That has to change in the second half, that's for sure. I think Lewis Smiley has been very good in midfield, hasn't he? Has replaced Joe Linton. That was a heavy foul on the side of his ankle. Noah Siddiqui and Granit Xhaka are no-nonsense players in midfield. Rose finds Xhaka. Very much playing the deeper role here. Xhaka keeps it short. There's Nori Mukiele. Made the run on the inside here. Bertrand Traore. Xhaka feeds it onto the right hand side. Here's Enzo Lafille back to Xhaka. The creative players getting more touches. Cross comes into the box. Oh, what a delivery! And the header's just over the crossbar. It's Daniel Ballard of all people attacking the box. This is a peach of a delivery by Granit Xhaka. It is right on the money. Ballard is onside. He's on the wrong side of Valentino Livramento. Climbs all over the fullback. And he gets a good header on it. That is the massive opportunity. Still no shots on target, but that was the best effort of the match so far. They worked it so patiently. Granit Xhaka on his left foot is so dangerous. A 3 minutes of added on time remain in this first half. Sunderland coming the closest to scoring. Daniel Ballard stayed in front. He directed his header on target. Probably looking at the home side, taking a 1-0 lead, heading into the break here. Sunderland look out of ideas here in the attacking phase. Nick Woltemade has had very few touches. Not got the centre forward involved. Elanga has looked hit or miss. Anthony Gordon has definitely faded in this match. Renildo trying to just push that forward to Talby. Livramento defends well. Woltemade, good hold up play from the German. Newcastle do well here. Tonali. Fabian Schär getting his first involvements, his first few touches since coming on for Dan Burn. And now Lewis Hall. 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining. Anthony Gordon on the left hand side. Good pace, but it's a very heavy touch from the England international. Well, Sunderland have defended very well in this first half. They've kept Newcastle away and be looking to take a half-time lead. Well, Regis Lebris' men have had the better of Newcastle in this first half, that's for sure. A minute of added down time remain in this first half. We're going to see one more opportunity for the half-time whistle. Newcastle will be hoping for the whistle before any other incident takes place here. They've been second best, but they've kept the clean sheet away from home here. Eddie Howe will be taking that as a positive, but knows that his team could have very easily gone down a goal. Daniel Ballard having the best chance of the match. Renildo's looked top at left back. Here's Xhaka, Sadiki. It's 2v3 in midfield, and still Sunderland are winning the midfield battle. Xhaka, Enzo Lafi and Noah Sadiki very much in the control business here. Clever pass there by Xhaka. Very good touch there from Renildo. Here's Enzo Lafi. Daniel Ballard, who could and should have scored, finds Mukiele. Patience. Xhaka. Curious pass, but it turns out to be a very accurate one for Bertrand Traore. Surely the last action of the game here from this first half. Xhaka. They're being very patient. The referee might not allow this attack, and he won't. Sunderland's patience not been rewarded here at the Stadium of Light. It's 0-0 the scoreline. Eddie Howe's team have been second best by some distance. Granit Xhaka putting it on a plate for Daniel Ballard. The best opportunity in the first half. But it's 0-0 at the Stadium of Light as Newcastle and Sunderland still separated by just a point. We're heading closer to the start of the second half. As it stands, Sunderland in 8th and Newcastle in 11th, with Spurs dropping down to 12th. They're 1-0 down to Nottingham Forest away at the City Ground. Callum Hudson-Odoi scoring for Sean Dyche's men, who continue their resurgence up the league. 16th now. West Ham with 3 points would take them out of the relegation zone into 17th position. 2-1 against Unai Emery's side is pretty much the best case scenario for Nuno Espirito Santos and his men. Of course, the man who replaced Graham Potter, who subsequently took the Sweden job. Well, both teams have plenty of options on the bench, that's for sure. Sunderland, of course, have their top scorer in Wilson Isidore, who can definitely come off the bench and make some impact. And as for Newcastle United, they've got Johan Wissa, Harvey Barnes, and, of course, on the right-hand side, Jacob Murphy. All potent weapons for Eddie Howe to utilize in the second half. Sunderland climbing 2 places into 8th position with this draw as it stands, and Newcastle jumping ahead of Spurs. City with that 1-0 lead against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park means that only the 2 points separating the top 2 teams in the Premier League after match week 16, but still a long way to go. The 45 minutes coming up in the second half all across the Premier League here. West Ham 2-1 up, Spurs 1-0 down to Nottingham Forest, 0-0 at the Stadium of Light. And of course, Manchester City with a 1-0 advantage at Selhurst Parks. Both teams getting ready to get back onto the pitch here. Newcastle United were forced to make the one change of Fabian Schär coming on for Dan Burn, who injured his ribs after that clash against Nori Mukiele, who picked up a yellow card for the challenge. 2 yellows for Sunderland in the first half. Brian Brobby picked one up for petulance. And of course, that challenge by Nori Mukiele meant that he's going to be walking a tightrope in the second half up against Anthony Gordon. Well, Nick Woltemade had very little service in that first half. Imperative that Newcastle get their big man involved a lot more. Anthony Elanga was definitely going to be on the chopping block in the second half if his performances don't improve, because of the options that Eddie Howe has on the right hand side. Johan Wissa and Jacob Murphy both will be ahead in the pecking order, that's for sure. Fabian Schär alongside Malik Thiaw, now tasked with trying to keep a close watch on Brian Brobby for the second half here. We will see Wilson Isidore at some point, that's for sure. Man who's got 4 goals in the Premier League. The Frenchman from Lorient looking to make further impacts there. Sunderland had the best chance in the match. Daniel Ballard's header from a Granit Xhaka pinpoint delivery. He climbed all over Livramento but couldn't direct his header on target. That was the best chance in the match, but no shots on target from either side in the 45 minutes played at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland looking to continue their near 15-year record of not losing here to their fiercest rival. Man who's got 4 goals in the Premier League. The Frenchman from Lorient. And we're back underway for the start of the second half here at the Stadium of Light. 0-0 the scoreline in this Steinway derby between Sunderland and Newcastle United. Sunderland looking for a fast start here. It is the Burkina Faso international Bertrand Traore finds Granit Xhaka. It's Traore again. Will look to get onto his left foot. Takes a couple of touches on the outside. It's a brilliant ball in. It's cleared away. Sunderland with the early pressure here. Bertrand Traore. A couple of stud rolls on the ball to get away from the challenge. Then whipped in a decent ball in. It was cleared away, which means that Nori Mukiele will be on throw-in duty here. Sunderland started the first half very well. Couldn't capitalize, but did make sure that Newcastle found it very difficult to get shots away here. As a throw-in, it's been cleared away. Gordon gets his header, but it goes straight back to Xhaka. Here's Mukiele. Cross comes into the box. It's Woltemada's own goal. What have you done there, Nick Woltemada? Did so well to try and attack the ball, but he's thundered the header past his own goalkeeper, and Sunderland have a lightning start to the start of the second half. Well, Nick Woltemada, we have known about his aerial prowess, but that was far too much of a header against his own goalkeeper there. Look at what it means to the Sunderland faithful there. The crowd is absolutely up for it now. And they kept this alive here. Mukiele takes one touch to get it out of his feet. It's a brilliant ball in. Woltemada trying to get his header anywhere apart from there. It's a bullet header. Hits the crossbar. Aaron Ramsdale totally helpless. And out of absolutely nothing, Sunderland have the lead. Well, Sunderland level on points and level on goal difference with Liverpool in 6th. What a result this would be for Regis Labree's team here. And this is where Newcastle have to be careful here, because they have not started this second half and it's familiar settings from the first. Fans who have had to make the short journey to their fiercest rivals, not happy with what they've seen in this match so far. Sunderland yet to really face any difficulty from that Newcastle attack. Well, Nick Woltemada, 5 goals in the league at the right end, and 1 own goal now, which will cancel one of his strikes here. The worst possible time, just at the start of the second half. Nick Woltemada's free header, unchallenged, thundered it past his own goalkeeper. Well, now we'll see Newcastle's response. They will have to come out and play. They cannot let that second half drift in the manner the first half did. Here's Thiaw. Well, Malik Thiaw is now shifted to the left-hand side of centre-back, taking Dan Burns' spot. That one substitution having an impact on both centre-halves now. Thiaw started as the right-sided centre-back, now playing as the left, and Fabian Schär replacing Malik Thiaw as the right-sided centre-back rather. Sunderland will be looking for the clean sheet here. This would be a massive result for them. Robin Roves goes long for Traore. Nottingham Forest are 2-0 up. Callum Hudson-Odoi has scored a brace against Tottenham Hotspur, and Aston Villa are level now with Morgan Rogers scoring against West Ham. Incredible change to the league table already here. It's 5 minutes into the second half. Aston Villa looking to add a bit of distance away from Chelsea. Chelsea do play Aston Villa in a couple of games' time at Stamford Bridge. Be a chance for Chelsea to Again, a bit of chance here. Siddiqui finds Enzo Lafi. Ball into the box, headed away by Malik Thiaw. Anthony Gordon doesn't get his clearance right. Pressure still here. Gordon should be able to clear, and he just hammers that forward. Good pressure again from Sunderland. Excellent header there from Brian Brobby. Here's Bertrand Traore on his favoured left foot. Shaka. Sunderland looking for the second here, the cushion goal. Alderete finds Daniel Ballard, who will be feeling a lot better after his miss right towards the end of the first half. Beautiful switch out there to Talbi on the left-hand side. Great acceleration there from the Moroccan into the box here. Cutback is decent. Brobby looks to get the shot away. Newcastle defend that just about. Anthony Elanga can't keep the ball. It's very poor there from Elanga. Siddiqui, brilliant. Crosses into the box. Headed away there by Lewis Hall. Sunderland all over Newcastle here. Alderete does very well to get that away from Baltimore. Onto the left-hand side. Talbi into the box. Cut back. Chance. Ooh, Newcastle survive again. Malik Thiaw gets rid of that. Again down the left-hand side. Sunderland causing Newcastle all sorts of problems. Talbi has found another gear to his game, giving a lot of problems to Valentino Livramento. Throw in for Sunderland. Their fans now absolutely up for it. Throw in taken. Decent header by Alderete, trying to just get the flick on. Out for a goal kick. Newcastle in the second half. Not much improvement from Eddie Howe's men here. Halftime team talk not paying dividends so far. Sunderland getting a touch of fortune, a rub of the green there with the goal that they scored. Nick Woltemade heading past his own goalkeeper. But in the second half, the possession has been all Sunderland, nearly 85% of the ball. That is outrageous. Newcastle really struggling in midfield. They haven't kept hold of the ball whatsoever. Livramento finds Lewis Miley. Elanga tries to turn away from trouble. Granit Xhaka on the cover. Gets rid. Here's Malik Thiaw. Heading into the 10-minute mark in the second half. Newcastle United thoroughly outplayed in this match so far, but just the one goal that separates the two teams. Gordon finds Guimaraes. Miley, Sandro Tonali, better this from Newcastle United. Livramento on the right-hand side. Finds Anthony Elanga. Miley again. Livramento. Tonali. Thinks about the cross. Poor cross. Well defended by Sunderland. Looking for the counter-attack here. Enzo Lafi finds Brian Brobby. Great feed there. Malik Thiaw might be very fortunate if he avoids a yellow card here. Gets away from the crime scene immediately, right in front of the referee. It's a cynical foul on the Dutch centre forward. Brian Brobby did very well to hold off the challenge. Malik Thiaw, very lucky. You can see the scoreboard there from the Sunderland faithful. They haven't given Newcastle a badge here. They've just written 1-0 Sunderland versus the visitors. That is as petty as it gets, but you absolutely love it. Mukiele gets the header on first. Ooh, Daniel Ballard was convinced that he was held there by Fabian Schär. Two number 5s getting into a bit of a tussle there. Fabian Schär. Ooh, it is he's not playing the ball, and he's got his hands around the neck right in front of the referee. It is so risky from Fabian Schär. You don't get a pen for it, but last thing you wanted is give the referee a decision to make. Tonali finds Lewis Hall, who's inverting from left back. So is Livramento. Anthony Elanga, Bruno Guimaraes. Elanga again, terrible touch there by Elanga. Jeez, it's very poor there from Newcastle, but the same can't be said about Sunderland. Look at them go on the left-hand side. Tonali does very well to get ahead of Enzo Laffi. Free kick for Newcastle, now playing with a bit of urgency. Hall. Tonali. Here's Lewis Miley now. Malik Thiaw, beautiful switch out onto the right hand side. Elanga's got a lot of space here. First time ball into the box, headed away brilliantly by Alderate. Cross has to be better there if you're trying to find Walter Marder. Here's Enzo Laffi. Sunderland very composed with the ball. Regis Labrie has been drilling that in the training ground. What a touch that is from Enzo Laffi, but he loses out, but somehow squeezes the ball forward to Brian Brobry, who gets away from Sandro Tonali. If that's a foul, that's a yellow card. It's a yellow card for Sandro Tonali, who lost that duel against Brian Brobby, who's causing a lot of problems to the Newcastle players. Good first touch to get away from the Italian. Bit of cynicism involved in the challenge there from Sandro Tonali. Number 6 with the number 8 on his back will now be playing next 30 plus minutes on a yellow card now. Very surprised Newcastle haven't made a change, and as I say that, a triple substitution being readied by Eddie Howe. Jacob Murphy, Harvey Barnes and Joe Willock ready to come on here for Newcastle to inject some sort of creativity into their attack, but it's a free kick here. Xhaka delivers, headed away by Miley. Anthony Gordon with a good first touch and now looking to push and run away from Enzo Laffi. Brilliant pace there by Gordon. Oh, that's a cynical foul. Another yellow card, this time for Sunderland. Will be Renildo, who goes lunging in. Had to stop that counter-attack. It was a one-man attack there from Anthony Gordon. Gets a slight challenge of real cynicism again. That is a derby challenge if I've ever seen one. 3 yellow cards for Sunderland, 1 for Newcastle United. Game is still at 1-0, which means that Newcastle can still pull things back with this triple substitution. I'm very surprised that Anthony Gordon is the man making way. He'll be replaced by Harvey Barnes on that left-hand side. Jacob Murphy will come to the right, replacing Anthony Elanga. Yep, the 2 wingers being replaced. And Sandro Tonali coming off. Joe Willock will take his place in midfield, which means that maybe Bruno Guimaraes drops in as the number 6 with Lewis Miley and Joe Willock on either side of the Brazilian. So Newcastle making quite a few changes here from their starting 11. Free kick as Lewis Hall delivers. Robin Rosa comes a long way. It's a great take. Brilliant from the Dutchman. That high claim takes all the pressure off. Spurs still struggling to find the back of the net against Nottingham Forest. Game will just see them as it stands go into the bottom half of the table. Couple of wins, couple of losses can really change your fortune in this league right now. Yes, Fabian Schär finds Malik Thiaw. Hall finds the substitute Harvey Barnes. The Newcastle wingers had very little joy against Renildo Nordi Mukiele. Now a different puzzle to solve for the fullbacks. Good pass here. Harvey Barnes with a brilliant first touch. Joe Willock gets involved. Finds Barnes. He's been muscled away by Granit Xhaka. Brilliant there from the Swiss international. But Bruno Guimaraes picks up the loose ball. Enzo Lefebvre works hard and Xhaka boots that forward, asking a lot from Brian Brobby. And Ramsdale playing sweeper keeper. Shows great composure. Here's Thiaw. Sunderland not playing with any sort of desperation. It's been very safe football from them. I think in midfield they really have struggled against Sunderland, who've been levels above their Wetine rivals. Guimaraes taking over the Sandro Tonali role as he sweeps it onto the right hand side to Livramento, who's been doubled here. Guimaraes outside of the boot pass to Lewis Saul, who finds himself in central positions here. Joe Willock, Bruno Guimaraes, top scorer for Newcastle, thought about the shot. Guimaraes' effort, it's on target, but it's straight down the throat of Robin Roves. Will Newcastle finally get a shot away? It's taken the best part of an hour before their captain Bruno Guimaraes let one fly on his weaker left foot. Good defending there by Enzo Lefebvre, forcing him on his left foot to take the shot. Lovely touch there. Now Enzo Lefebvre can drive forward, asking a lot from Brobby with that. Well, Sunderland can still lean on Wilson Isidore off the bench. Malik Thiaw finds Fabian Schär again. There's a lack of intensity from the Sunderland centre-backs here. Miley. Dan Burn again. Fabian Schär rather. Harvey Barnes. Cross comes into the box. Poor cross. Harvey Barnes with not much conviction there with the ball into the box. Again, trying to look for their target man, Nick Woltemade. Well, Sunderland have a goal, but they have not had a shot on target. They got a Christmas gift from Nick Woltemade, who will be desperate to make amends. Lovely touch there from Noah Sadiki. He's been outstanding in midfield, and his endeavour nearly gets the breakthrough for them. Guimaraes. You can see Sadiki just throws himself around the pitch. Bruno Guimaraes. Very safe passing here from Newcastle United. They need to take a lot more risks. They might be prone to counter-attacks, but this game has been tepid from them. Guimaraes, oh, nearly squeezes that pass through to Jacob Murphy. That's the kind of pass and run that Newcastle fans have been waiting for. Beautiful punch through ball there by the captain Guimaraes. Jacob Murphy did identify the pass. There's a little too much on it though. Better there from Newcastle. Couldn't be any worse considering how poor they've been in this match. They've been nowhere near the races, and it seems that their lengthy run of a victory in the Premier League at the Stadium of Light might carry on here. Here's Livramento. Jacob Murphy, lovely touch. Barnes, oh, it went to Joe Willock. The substitutes nearly combine. Alderate takes evasive measures and just clears that away. Here's Malik Thiaw. Finds loose hole. Thiaw again. Now Bruno Guimaraes. Surveying his options. Feeds it onto the right hand side. Jacob Murphy, first time ball in. Well gathered by the goalkeeper. Starting to get a bit more tested now, Robin Roves. Nothing of difficulty for the Dutch goalkeeper. Decent ball forward. Brobby does very well. Talby is there to help out. Here's Malik Thiaw. Joe Willock looking to make an impression off the bench here. Guimaraes. Good spread onto the right hand side to Valentino Livramento. Guimaraes. Clever pass, but well defended by Renildo. It seems that Newcastle have finally woken up. Now starting to dominate possession in the last 10 minutes. Took them long enough. Been second best in every department in this match. Harvey Barnes on the left hand side. Away from Traore. Left footed ball into the box. Can't get the shot away. Guimaraes brings it under control. Bruno Guimaraes! And his Roos on the stretch. Brings that down comfortably there. But Bruno Guimaraes now starting to be a lot more influential in the heart of midfield. Edge of the box on the swivel. Was on target, but not enough pace nor direction to breathe the Dutchman from there. Newcastle having a few more efforts on target. Fabian Schär does well to showcase his strength. Jacob Murphy. Murphy again. Decent pass. Finds Harvey Barnes on the left hand side. Couple of touches to get away from the markers. Fabian Schär thought about the shot. Schär with the effort. Oh, it's cracked. Alderete on his skull there. The Paraguayan goes to ground, but is quickly back up. Fabian Schär is known to score a few bangers from this range and direction. Caught that well. Alderete is very brave. Might be seeing stars there after the strike. With Newcastle growing into the game, Sunderland are looking to make a double substitution here. Top scorer Isidore will be coming on shortly. They wait for the corner to be taken though. Guimaraes delivers. Headed away by Renildo. Newcastle look to keep the ball in circulation. Guimaraes. Miley. Thought about the cross. Now the cross does arrive. Towards the far stick is Fabian Schär, but very good defending there by Bertrand Traore. Was switched on and made sure that Fabian Schär didn't have a clean jump at it. Sunderland waiting to make their double substitution, but might be done after this corner is taken. Heading into the business end of the match here at the Weartown Derby. Sunderland 1-0 up, courtesy of Nick Woltemader's own goal right at the start of the second half. Newcastle have been slightly better. That triple change has definitely helped them. Miley delivers. Roves is there. It's a comfortable take. Well, Manchester City are 2-0 up. Phil Foden has scored. He's very much back in the mix with the goals and helping out Manchester City. City will end match week 16 just 2 points behind league leaders Arsenal. Crystal Palace just starting to struggle here, especially at home, having lost to Manchester United 2-1 and now losing 2-0 to their City rivals in City. Brian Brobby's evening comes to an end. A lot of effort and endeavour, but not getting the service for a few strikes on goal. Bertrand Traore's evening comes to an end too. So 2 changes in the attacking 3. Brian Brobby and Bertrand Traore off. Wilson Isidore is going to replace Brobby as the centre forward, and in Hume. Bit of a defensive substitution here from Regis Labrie. Hume's introduction means that Sunderland might be going with the back 5 here now. Got Renildo as that left wing back. Hume will take the right wing back spot. Mukiele will drop into centre half. Isidore will be playing just with Enzo Lefebvre and, of course, Talby. Nodi Mukiele is absolutely up for this one. He's riling up the home supporters who respond to the French right back there. He's the one who put in the cross for that Nick Woltemade own goal. As it stands, the difference maker is Nodi Mukiele. 20 minutes per stoppage time remain at the Stadium of Light. Isidore with a brilliant first touch. Hume looking to be influence down the right hand side, stay as touch tight as possible, remain within close distance of Wilson Isidore. Lovely touch there by Isidore to Hume. The two substitutes combined, decent cutback. Hume will have another opportunity. Lovely combination there by Trey Hume and Wilson Isidore. Xhaka finds Hume. Good combinations here. Enzo Lefebvre finds Nodi Mukiele. Lefebvre again. Keeping the ball very nicely here, but Hume just tried to lift that over the Sunderland defender. Throw in for Newcastle. Well, the summer signing from Brentford, the £50 million man, Johan Wissa, coming on for Newcastle. I think he'll take the spot of Nick Woltemade, who's really had very little to feed off in terms of service. Maybe they might go with two centre forwards up front. What a ball this is. Isidore brings it down brilliantly. Oh, what a save that is by Aaron Ramsdale. Sensational from Wilson Isidore. Brings it down on his chest into the path of his right foot. Gets that shot on target. And Aaron Ramsdale had to be very sharp at his near post. Sensational play there from Isidore. Wow. Brilliant take on the chest. Didn't sit up kindly for him, but his athleticism and agility meant that he could get enough power on the shot. Corner for Sunderland, looking to double their advantage. Heading into the final 15, it's Xhaka who's getting ready to put this in-swinger in. Good ball in, Ramsdale punches. Jacob Murphy lets that go to Bruno Guimaraes. Captain under pressure here. Good header from him. Here's Alderate. Finds Renildo. Sunderland with their first shot on target. Done the best part of 70 minutes to achieve that, but did have the huge leg up there courtesy of the Nick Woltemade own goal. Johan Wissa looking to come on here. Isidore is causing all sorts of problems. Wilson Isidore is a different puzzle for the Newcastle defenders to solve. Here's Miley. Fabian Schär. Johan Wissa just itching to come on. We'll wait and see who he replaces. Clever ball there by Willock, but Daniel Ballard matches Nick Woltemade stride for stride there. Xhaka, extremely composed. Brilliant from the Swiss international. Finds the Paraguayan Alderate. Xhaka running the show in midfield. Goes for the switch out. Asking a lot out of Noah Siddiqui there. Decent ball in. Ballard heads it. That should be a foul. Well, Johan Wissa is coming on. And no surprises that he is replacing Nick Woltemade, who as it stands is the difference maker, the match winner, but not in the sense that he was hoping for in his first ever Weartime derby. That will go down in the history books. And it seems that Newcastle, 15 minutes away from prolonging their winless streak here at the Stadium of Light. You have to go all the way back to 2011. Ryan Taylor's goal that gave Newcastle all 3 points at the Stadium of Light. Since then, it's been all Sunderland. Here's Malik Thiaw. Nottingham Forest are 3-0 up at home against Tottenham Hotspur. They put 3 past Liverpool at Anfield and now putting 3 past Thomas Frank's Tottenham Hotspur. This is not a good result for Thomas Frank, that's for sure. Spurs will fall down to what, 12th in the league as it stands? The Newcastle not helping themselves either. Newcastle in 12th, Spurs in 11th, Sunderland on level points and level goal difference with 6th placed Liverpool. Superb from Sunderland, man. Regis Labre's team have done more than enough to not just stay in the league but even push for Europe. That would be an amazing ascent from the Championship. Clever there by Newcastle United. Jacob Murphy gets it back. Scoop pass forward. Ooh, might be a handball there by Daniel Ballard. Seems to have gotten a firm head to it. Instead, it's a corner for Newcastle United. Again, it's the substitutes. Jacob Murphy and Harvey Barnes combining there. Clever scoop pass attempt there from Jacob Murphy. Newcastle with their 4th corner. They don't have Nick Woltemade. They do have Johan Wissa, Malik Thiaw and Fabian Schär both looking to attack this one. Ball into the box. Headed away brilliantly. I think that's Noah Siddiqui, and the ball back into the box is really poor. Bruno Guimaraes. Might be a bit of rush of blood to the head there to the skipper. Not the kind of derby that he was hoping to have, as scratch at the head there from Eddie Howe. He'll know that his team have been outplayed here today. But the helping hand in terms of the goal was definitely avoidable. Well, Sunderland 12 plus stoppage time away from yet another famous victory here at home against their fiercest rivals. Wissa, his touch booted forward. Good header there by Malik Thiaw. Sunderland keep the ball nicely. Hume under pressure finds Granit Xhaka. Here's Daniel Ballard. Robin Roves, who's had a comfortable game between the sticks. Xhaka played very composed fashion here, Sunderland. Beautifully out of the Newcastle press. You can see Granit Xhaka picking up nightmare positions as that linchpin to help them build out the back. Sunderland forced to play long here, which Robin Roves does exactly that. 2 in the first header. Isidore was also there. Fabian Schär into the 80th minute. Ooh, there was a chance there for Johan Wissa on the stretch. It's a brilliant ball. The thing is, Jacob Murphy again, he's taken a deflection, and Johan Wissa on the stretch can't get the connection that he was hoping for. Aston Villa have scored their 3rd goal. Once again, they've turned things around. Morgan Rogers with a brace, which means that Aston Villa will continue to have that gap from Chelsea. Not the result that we were hoping for, and West Ham not just able to hold on, but they've dropped the lead on 2 occasions. Win for Manchester City and Aston Villa, absolutely crucial. Well, Aston Villa 3 points behind league leaders Arsenal. City 2 points behind, which means that Arsenal really can't afford to drop points at all now. Such is the situation, such is the peril that they find themselves in, and if they drop points to Wolverhampton Wanderers yesterday, which could have very easily happened, Oof, we have been looking at a completely different table. Isidore with a wrestling battle there with Malik Thiaw. Well, Aston Villa have opened up a 5-point gap away from 4th place Chelsea. Here's Scher. Harvey Barnes. Willock. Lewis Hall switches it out to the right hand side. Jacob Murphy, lovely first touch. Murphy thought about the cross. Okay, no obvious target in Voltemada. They'll have to work it differently here. Guimaraes, clever pass attempt, well defended by Renildo. Enzo Lefebvre gets away from the challenge and Sunderland on the counter-attack. Ooh, that might be a foul there by Fabian Scher. Fortunately for him, he won't pick up a yellow card. Enzo Lefebvre is just waiting to shape that ball into the space there for Wilson Isidore. The substitution here for Sunderland will be Talbi, who's coming off. Didn't really affect the game in the second half. The Moroccan just faded as the game went on. Decent shift in the first, but the Sunderland fans give him a warm reception as his evening comes to an end, as Sunderland, about 8 minutes plus stoppage time away from yet another victory against their fiercest rival at the Stadium of Light. Talbi off, and the number 14, Mundl, comes on. Sunderland will take their time with all the set pieces here. Look to run down the clock as much as possible. Decent ball into the box, headed by Alderate. Cleared away by Barnes. And Newcastle not able to keep sustained period of possession. Again, it's Sunderland who are just popping it around expertly. Xhaka nearly finds a clever pass to Nodi Mukiele. Lewis Hall having to battle. Last touch might have come off Hall. It has, and it's a throw in for Sunderland. Nodi Mukiele has completely dominated that right hand side for the home side. 7 minutes plus stoppage time from the crowd to erupt into celebrations here. Sunderland level on points with Liverpool. League leaders Liverpool level on goal difference too. Incredible campaign here from Regis Lebrie's men. Johan Wissel loses out the header. Guimaraes has to be careful. He's up against Isidore. Sunderland have kept this alive. Clever pass. Mukiele does brilliantly. He's in the box. Nodi Mukiele. Oh, he's off balance. He's been pushed away there by Malik Thiaw. He won't get the corner. So, right call there from the official. Nodi Mukiele was on the stretch there trying to get a shot away. Yep, he has a case, you know. Last touch did come off the toe of the German, Malik Thiaw. Newcastle get away with that one. Six minutes per stoppage time remain at the Stadium of Light. Newcastle have been slightly better in the second half, but nowhere near the levels required to win away from home. Here's Harvey Barnes. Hall. Barnes. Thought about driving into space. It's Jacob Murphy in a central position. Finds Lewis Miley. Went for the strike. Well defended. Isidore picks the ball up now. And Sunderland on the counter-attack here. Wilson Isidore. He's got fresh legs. It's a brilliant attempted pass. He went to pick out Noah Sadiki on that left-hand side. Expected him to do a bit more carrying off the ball, considering he did have fresh legs. But he saw the run. Wanted him to release him quicker. Mukiele's header didn't have the conviction on it. Here's Bruno Guimaraes. Mukiele is strong in the challenge. It's not a foul. Guimaraes is not happy with the decision, but play continues. 5 minutes per stoppage time remaining. Bruno Guimaraes. Onto the right hand side to Lewis Miley. Livramento. Guimaraes again. Being very patient here, Newcastle. Need to get something in the box. Guimaraes, he loses out. That's very poor there from Newcastle United. Trying to Be patient, but still not able to fashion a chance here. Thiaw finds Livramento. Jacob Murphy again wants to deliver the cross. This time he does with his left foot. It's a very good ball in. Ballard heads that away. Will be a corner for Newcastle United. A late rally here from the away side. Have they left it far too late? Considering Sunderland are in pole position here, their fans will be on the edge of their seats knowing that this game is still very much in the balance. Bragging rights tomorrow on Monday with Sunderland's return to the Premier League. It's not just a winning one, but creating separation, a 4-point gap away from their heated rivals in Newcastle United. Miley delivers this corner, headed away brilliantly there by Granit Xhaka. Jacob Murphy thought about recycling the ball, but he'll take the throw in. Newcastle looking to pin Sunderland back here. Guimaraes, clever attempt, and if Wilson Isidore brought that under control, we're looking at yet another Sunderland counter-attack. Ballard did the right thing there, just tried to fizz the ball into his striker's feet. Here's Thiaw. Joe Willock, formerly of Arsenal colours. Here's Harvey Barnes. Decent ball into the box. Might be a foul there by Jacob Murphy. He's got two hands on the back of the defender, Ranildo, spotted by the official, and it's a free kick. And a let off there for Sunderland. And in a game where you could have made a lot of movements in the league table, Nottingham Forest climbing out of the relegation zone. A 3-0 victory against Tottenham Hotspur as it stands. Aston Villa twice down in this match against West Ham. Now 3-2 up courtesy of the Morgan Rogers brace. City are 2-0 up away at Selhurst Park, which means that Chelsea end match week 16 in 4th place, 5 points behind Aston Villa in 3rd. Villa are 3 points behind Arsenal. Man City are 2 points behind Arsenal. There's absolutely no breathing room at the top of the league. Sunderland 2 minutes plus stoppage time away from prolonging Newcastle's misery at the Stadium of Light. They did win here last season in the FA Cup, if I'm not mistaken. But in the Premier League, they'll have to go back 15 years for the last time they found any success at the Stadium of Light. 90 seconds remain in the 90 here. Sunderland nearly there. Their fans just waiting to erupt into celebration. They've created a fantastic atmosphere, a hostile one for the Newcastle fans and players. And they're nearly there. Thiaw. Thiaw again. Again, where is that Newcastle urge to get the equalizer? They've been far too passive. Guimaraes onto the left-hand side to Lewis Hall. Here's the captain again. Fabian Schär. This is patient from Newcastle. Final minute of normal time. Newcastle trying to pull Sunderland from side to side. Heavy touch. And now it is Sunderland on the counter-attack. Siddiqui with a heavy touch. Here's Lewis Hall. Onto the left-hand side. Here is Harvey Barnes. Willock on the overlap. Oh, that's a terrible cross. My word. That is as deflating as it gets. This is the position where Lewis Hall should find himself instead of Joe Willock on the overlap. On his weaker left foot, tried to put the cross into the box. It was a horrible cross, really. It seems that one goal will be enough for Regis Lebris' men. Will be climbing up the league table from 10th to 7th position. With 4 minutes of stoppage time, Erling Haaland has scored a brace at Selhurst Park, which means Manchester City not just 2 points behind Arsenal, but Also, their goal difference, 2 goals better than the Gunners. Here's Enzo Lafi. Does very well to keep the ball. Clever nutmeg pass here on the right hand side. Hume drills it across. And he couldn't find the on-rushing player. Newcastle survive. Oh, that's a terrible pass by Jacob Murphy. Granit Xhaka returns the favour with a poor pass himself. Newcastle still alive, but time really running out for them. Well, Tottenham Hotspur 3-0 down to Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa 3-2 up. Man City winning 3-0 up. Seems that I've picked the wrong game in terms of streaming and goals. With Sunderland needing just the one to start the second half, courtesy of Nick Woltemada's own goal. All into the box. Good header there by Mukiele. Hume should be able to clear. Isidore fighting a lone battle as the centre forward. Anywhere will do kind of approach. 2.5 minutes of stoppage time remaining. Newcastle looking to throw the kitchen sink at Sunderland. Guimaraes. Lewis Smiley. Livramento. Onto the right hand side. Here's Jacob Murphy. He's got plenty of targets in the box if he can get a good cross in. Very well defended. The substitute prevents the cross but does concede a corner. Newcastle fans would be desperate. If they get a point, they'll know that they've stolen one here from their rivals. They've been nowhere near the levels, but football is a cruel game. All Newcastle have to do is get this corner spot on. We're into the 93rd minute. It's Lewis Hall who'll be taking this left-footed in-swinger. Hall delivers. Rove's caught in no man's land. They do manage to clear. Good defending by Sunderland. Livramento tries to put the header in the mixer. Okay, the ball comes back with interest. Roves is there and he does a brilliant claim. Ooh, that's a nasty foul there on the goalkeeper. I think it's Joe Willock who's just made his presence known. Leaves a little extra on Robin Roves, who's just trying to claim that high ball. It's a very awkward landing. It's a heavy landing for the goalkeeper. Well, things getting very heated here. The derby has been simmering to a boil and it's finally boiled over. Wilson Isidore getting involved in the fisticuffs. Granit Xhaka, the skipper, making sure that order is trying to be restored here. This time will be added on in terms of stoppage time. So from Sunderland's point of view, they'll be wiser to get things up and running here. The referee's got a yellow card in his hand. He might brandish this to a couple of players. Mukiele going to his young French brother and making sure that he keeps his head. Needless yellow cards being picked up by both sets of players here right towards the end. We're into borrowed time here as Joe Willock picks up a yellow card. I think a Newcastle player is definitely being booked, and seems that Wilson Isidore will be picking up a yellow card too. Right at the end. The game has not had the blood and thunder tackles and real indiscipline. There's a couple of yellow cards. There's 3 yellow cards brandished for that one incident. Thiaw has picked up a yellow card. So has Wilson Isidore by the looks of it. We're into borrowed time here. Well, the tempers are still boiling over here. Both sets of players in no mood to try and defuse the situation. The captains were called over, but the handbags continue. Into the 95th minute here. Bruno Guimaraes has picked up a yellow card too. Sunderland will have this free kick because of that foul by Joe Willock rather on Robin Roves. It's just unnecessary time being added on here. A minute extra of stoppage time has already been played, but we haven't seen any play take place here. Sunderland fans just waiting to erupt into a elated Granit Xhaka getting patched up there. Might have gotten an elbow right under the eyebrow. Cut there for the skipper. Quickly patched up with some Vaseline and back underway. Might be the final attack of the match here if Newcastle can try and stitch something. Just Jacob Murphy. Nearly 96 minutes on the clock here. Sunderland fans urging the referee to blow the whistle. Fabian Schär. Guimaraes. Livramento. Cross comes into the box, asking a lot from the Newcastle players. Lewis Saul's decent header. Schär. Chance for Wissa. He can't bring that down under control. And it will be out for a goal kick. I think Sunderland have done just enough to get all 3 points. Well, the Sunderland fans will have the happiest of Christmas here. Whatever happens for the rest of the season, they continue their imperious run at home against their fiercest rivals. The Newcastle fans will be dejected, but they'll have to make the short journey back. Sunderland, the fans are in tears. They've been so happy with what they've been treated. It hasn't been a classic, but they'll take the result.